All right, out front now, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Jim Himes, the state of Connecticut. Congressman, I appreciate your time. So, you see this reporting, the clearest evidence yet that suggests it was a U.S. Tomahawk, a missile that struck that base by the elementary school. And of course, this adds to CNN's reporting, New York Times reporting. I mean, incredible work has been done on this in our investigative unit and others. Yet Trump is still raising doubts, right? Pointing the finger at Iran and other countries as if possibly it could have been a Iranian mistake, an Iranian missile or an Iranian misfire. Who knows exactly what he's trying to say. What are you learning?
Well, Aaron, it certainly does not look good, right? I mean, the president's statement that other countries have Tomahawks, that might be true if you're talking about the United Kingdom or something, but the Iranians do not have Tomahawks. Israel does not have Tomahawks. By the way, this administration wouldn't even provide Tomahawks to Ukraine. So no, they are not a generic weapon. And, the idea that at the very moment in time when we're striking lots of other targets in the vicinity, that this one just happened to not be a U.S. munition is not believable. I also don't know if you noticed, but when the president on Air Force One turned to Mr. Hegseth, as he said, Mr. Hegseth did not say, "No, sir, that was not us," which is what Trump had said. He said it's under investigation. Now, whether that investigation will ever be completed, that's a different question.
Yeah, but I did think his answer was actually important because he did not go along with the president, and it was notable given the position he's in. The president also talked about Iran activating so-called sleeper cells in the United States, Congressman, which is obviously a deeply concerning thing if true. He did talk about it specifically. I'll play that part.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it.
Congress, is there any evidence? I mean, do you have a real concern about this, that there's such a thing as sleeper cells that literally could be triggered by Tehran?
Yeah, well, there's no question that over a long period of time, the Republican Guard, and in particular the Quds Force of the Republican Guard, has had units whose sole purpose is to try to place in foreign countries, in the region, in Europe, and maybe even the United States, people or groups of people who could work their will. The president has made repeated references to Iran trying to assassinate him. This is done not because there are formal cells, but because they have networks and connections. And so, yes, this is a very real danger. And one of those things that you take into account when you take the decision to attack Iran. They know that they do not have the military capability to, sink one of our carriers or whatnot. So instead, what they're going to rely on is a great deal of asymmetric capability. And that means potentially terrorism. It means, closing the Straits of Hormuz with very low-tech weapons, small boats, that sort of thing. So, this is a very real danger.
Yeah, it is. And I'll say in the Straits of Hormuz, oil tankers companies are very worried that what they're saying is that Iran has the ability to use small boats and basically attach bombs to the hulls. So it's a deep concern there. It's part of the reason no one's transiting it, or very, very few ships are. I wanted to ask you about the discussions within the Trump administration, Congressman, about deploying those elite military units to get the uranium in Iran. That's new reporting by our Natasha Bertrand. And she says this would require a major ground presence. Former chief nuclear inspector for the IAEA, Robert Kelly, called it a suicide mission talking to us earlier. He did not think it had a high chance of success. Is this potential operation, as you see it, realistic?
Yeah, I don't think so, Aaron, based on what I know. And again, this is just one of the many things that President Trump says. And I just don't know where it comes from. Here's what I can tell you. In June of last year, when the president supposedly obliterated through the use of, the bunker busters down tunnels into Fordo, which is one of the storage and refinement assets that the Iranians have, and in other places, Isfahan most notably, we created a huge amount of damage. And our belief is that underneath that damage is uranium. Uranium doesn't all of a sudden magically disappear. It can be spread around. It can be, sealed off by lots of rubble. So think about this. How you're going to put teams in that are going to both clear rubble, remove stuff while they're not getting shot shot at, not very likely. That just does not strike me as a realistic mission, no matter how good the military is.
Congressman Himes, we appreciate your time and thank you so much.